Everyone remembers this scene right here, the one where Mr. DNA and John Hammond talk about bringing back the dinosaurs. We had the mosquito in the amber, the blood in the mosquito containing dinosaur DNA. All this felt completely real, and that was 30 years ago. It made me believe that John Hammond's dream was completely real. And then it started to get me thinking, because this was 30 years ago, the world has moved on, cloning is real. Could Jurassic Park actually exist today? Well, the answer might completely shock you on this one, because the more I delved into this, the darker it seemed to get. You see, in the movie, that tiny insect was the key to the extinct world, but in reality, that mosquito is where the dream actually starts to die, because the DNA is fragile. And DNA in itself has a life of about 500 years, so by the time 65 million years has passed with our DNA inside the mosquito, it'd be unusable or completely fused with the mosquito DNA. And upon finding that out, that immediately killed my childhood and my dream of visiting a real Jurassic Park. But that is where you're wrong. It is possible to bring them back, and this video is going to explain it. And immediately I know what you're thinking. Well, if that's the case, why doesn't a real Jurassic Park exist today? Don't worry, I'm going to cover that as well. You see, if you go back and watch that first movie again, John Hammond doesn't sound completely insane anymore. 30 years ago he did, but today's day and age, he sounds almost normal. With the multi-billionaires we got now, Elon Musk, etc., Jurassic Park feels more possible than ever. And deep down, we all know the truth. If someone had claimed that they'd brought back the dinosaurs, we'd be first in line to buy the tickets. And not just me, I'm sure you guys would want to buy the tickets as well. People would want to see a real-life dinosaur. So the question has to be asked, do we have the science to do it? And do people actually believe they could be in control this time? The oldest DNA scientists have actually managed to recover is astonishingly old in human terms, around 2 million years old. Now that sounds old until you place it next to the T-Rex, which was 60 million years ago. So in reality, we are 58 million years off obtaining Tyrannosaurus Rex DNA. Again, very similar to Jurassic Park, right? They find incomplete genomes and they fill them in with other DNA from other animals. That's exactly what would happen in the real world. And this is where things start to be uncomfortable and start to turn a little here, because the more we delve into this video, the more real it becomes. You see, a company trying to build the most profitable attraction in history wouldn't stop there. You see, birds are living dinosaurs. Every chicken, ostrich, crow, you get the picture. They're carrying part of that ancient story forward. They're not a dinosaur, no, but they're a living branch of a dinosaur, a family tree that survived when all the dinosaurs had vanished. So a modern Jurassic Park wouldn't begin with a perfect dinosaur genome. It begins with a living animal, a bird. And this is where things start to get dangerous, because we've actually started reverse engineering birds. Can they alter the DNA to change the beak? Yes, they can. Could they grow a type of reptilian tail on one? Yes, they can. Could they even add teeth to chickens and other avian animals? Yes, they can. Can they make something that looks close enough to resemble a dinosaur? Yes, they can. Just like Jurassic Park, the real world company wouldn't need a scientifically accurate velociraptor to sell a ticket. Jurassic Park didn't. They didn't look like that. But in the real world, we could make one like that, just like Jurassic Park, and that would sell tickets. The public just needs to accept that it's a velociraptor. The first real animal in this real Jurassic Park wouldn't be a resurrected dinosaur. It'd be a proxy of a resurrected dinosaur, engineered by design. Doesn't all this sound like Jurassic Park and Jurassic World? Imagine the announcement. A private lad releases a 10-second clip of something moving behind the glass. In that footage, you could see a tail, a head, and something which resembles a dinosaur. Within a day, the government would be asking questions. Within a week, the company would have more attention than any theme park in history. And before you know it, the project would likely be shut down. That's why you'd need an island, exactly like Jurassic Park, to keep prying eyes away until your entire park is ready to unleash. By then, it'd be impossible to stop. They are already underway in cloning the woolly mammoth to make it useful in the tundra. That sounds absolutely bonkers, right? Because the woolly mammoth is from the same time period as the saber-toothed tiger, or the smilodon. Even just seeing a saber-toothed tiger, I would pay to see in any zoo in the world, and they're already on that and cloning it now. And it's at this point where things get even more interesting. You see, you can't necessarily recreate an extinct animal even if you have its complete and uncorrupted genome. The DNA itself does nothing on its own. A human genome makes a human only if it is inserted into a human egg, and that human egg cell is then inserted into a human womb and carried to term. So here's the big thing, for even things like mammoths, which weren't dinosaurs, we do have their DNA preserved and we have it ready to clone. We don't have any mammoth mothers to carry the resulting mammoth embryo to term. But this is where classic Jurassic Park got it right once again. You see, they had the dinosaur genome, they filled it in with the frogs, but they didn't have any dinosaurs to carry the eggs, right? No, they actually inserted the embryos and DNA into fertilized ostrich eggs. That's what we actually hear on the tour. So could that actually work in our real-life Jurassic Park? Well, yes, it could. In fact, they're going to resurrect the mammoths by inserting that egg into an elephant mother and to see if that elephant could successfully carry the baby. Now, it's important to note something else here, how unethical these experiments would be and how unethical they are. That's why there's been huge uproar over this. Hence why this would need to be done on an island, in secret, exactly like John Hammond did in Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park feels more and more real now than it ever did 30 years ago. We've already added teeth and tails to these Chickenosaurus, is what they're called. But it was met with arguments that we should be spending that money on conservation of existing species rather than the de-extinction or making of this Jurassic Park. And not only that, we haven't delved into the cost of any of this. You see, Jurassic Park was running on minimal staff, right? Even though John Hammond spared no expense. In the real world equivalent, you would need an army of people. Animal care teams, veterinarians, geneticists, engineers. The list is absolutely endless. And every one of those people becomes a failure point. Just like Jurassic Park. Someone gets tired, someone misses a warning, someone skips a check, or maybe someone accepts a bribe. This is how one of the first accidents start. A handler gets injured during feeding. Maybe a juvenile animal breaks out of one of its restraints. But obviously all of this will be kept under wraps, and the investors would want progress, and the board would want proof. And let's not forget something really important here. These would be undocumented, brand new species created as some type of genetic monster hybrid. Because again, at this point in time in the real world, we can't bring back extinct dinosaurs. We're genetically modifying birds and chickens. Very much similar to Jurassic World's hybrids. That is real world tech right now. I mean, you can literally grow a human ear on the back of a mouse for a transplant. But because we have no way of knowing how things are going to react, we have no way of knowing how big these things would grow, how hard they would be to contain. So in reality, this Jurassic Elon Musk park we're building would need all these people, and eventually something would go wrong. Chaos theory would kick in, because remember, we're building a park. We're not just keeping them in some isolated lab. We'd want to build this park for people to see. Eventually, them gates would open for the public to see, and Jurassic Park in the real world is no longer a secret. Guests arrive, and it becomes entertainment. And let me tell you, a world with what looks to be dinosaurs cloned and brought back, the world wouldn't stop talking about it. We'd see nothing else. The public would try and flock to it in their droves. And I mean, they would charge whatever they want. The scene where Gennaro talks about we can charge whatever we want, have a coupon day, that would be the reality of things. And it is one of the darkest things of Jurassic Park, because it's probably true. The wonder would eventually fade. So they'd start doing other things, night tours, behind the scenes access, you know what I mean, predator feeding shows, VIP paddock visits, more things to go wrong. This is without taking into account any government body getting involved and shutting down the park before it even opens because of how unethical it would be treating these animals and creating these monster hybrids. And again, I'd just like to reiterate here that this is indeed possible. We've done it already with the chickens. There's even future biotech projects which engineers have actually used animals to resemble our cultural idea of dinosaurs. They've used select breeding or gene editing to make them look like dinosaurs, although we're not 100% there yet. It's just a matter of time. And I know you might be thinking, well, that's not a dinosaur, but then again, the ones in Jurassic Park were never dinosaurs. They were monsters. They were created from incomplete genomes, filled in by frogs and all kinds of other animals, using ostrich eggs. You see what I mean? They were never dinosaurs. And it's just a matter of time before this real Jurassic Park opens. From a billionaire standing on the stage, the crowd applauds, the logo appears, the gates open, and then eventually something goes wrong. And to me, that is the most believable part of the whole franchise and the real world Jurassic Park. Which Which reminds me, what actually happened to Jurassic Park after it fell in 1993? What became of the dinosaurs? Well, if you want to know, I have the video right here. Thank you for watching till the very end. And if you like me and you like dinosaurs, hit subscribe because there's plenty more videos like this where we delve into the Jurassic Park mysteries and the real life ideas of Jurassic Park. Massive thanks to the InGen research team who are on screen now. I couldn't do it without your support. And if you went to a real life Jurassic Park and came face to face with a raptor, could your day get any worse? You bet Jurassic can. Catch you later.